Here's something nobody tells you about trust. Time does not make it safe. You can know someone for 10 years and still be handing them access to parts of your life that were never meant for them. You can grow up with someone, share decades of history, and still be giving them something they will quietly use against you, not necessarily out of malice, but because of who they are and where they are spiritually. One of the most dangerous assumptions you can make is that length of relationship equals safety of relationship. It doesn't. The Bible is very specific about who gets access to your heart, and most of those boundaries have nothing to do with how long you've known someone. Today, we're going to look at 6 people you must never open your heart to, no matter how long you have known them. Person number 1. Someone who has never shown genuine accountability for their own mistakes. Everyone fails. Everyone makes wrong calls, hurts people, gets it wrong. What separates safe people from dangerous ones isn't that they never fail. It's what they do when they do. Some people, no matter how long you've known them, have a consistent pattern of explaining, minimizing, shifting blame, or rewriting history whenever they're at fault. Proverbs 12 verse 15 says, "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice." Opening your heart to someone who has never demonstrated the ability to be genuinely wrong is opening your most vulnerable places to someone who will never take responsibility for what they do with them. Person number 2. Someone who only shows up when they need something. You've known them long enough to see the pattern. Things get quiet. Time passes, and then a crisis arrives or an ask is coming, and suddenly the attention and warmth are back. This cycle has a name. It's transactional relationship, and it is exhausting when you're the one being transacted. Proverbs 19:4 says, "Wealth brings many new friends, but a poor man is deserted by his friend." The principle cuts deeper than finances. People who orbit you based on your utility to them are not in your life. They are using your life. Opening your heart to someone whose affection is conditional on what you can provide is setting yourself up for a wound that repeats every time the cycle resets. Person number 3. Someone who gossips to you about everyone else. This one feels counterintuitive because gossip feels like intimacy. Someone leans in, shares a secret about another person, and suddenly there's a sense of closeness, of being trusted with something private. But Proverbs 11:13 says, "A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy person keeps a secret." If they are telling you what they know about others, they are telling others what they know about you. There is no version of this person who gossips freely about everyone around them and then guards your vulnerabilities with care. The same mouth that opened to you about someone else will open to someone else about you. That is not a person you give your heart to. That is a person you keep at a polite and careful distance. Person number 4. Someone who feels threatened by your growth. When you start to change, not everyone in your life will celebrate it, and some of the loudest opposition will come from people who have known you the longest. They knew you when you were smaller. They were comfortable with that version. And when God begins to expand you, to shift your thinking, to call you higher, those people will push back. Sometimes it's subtle, quiet skepticism, a comment that minimizes what you're becoming. Proverbs 27:17 says that iron sharpens iron. The people in your inner circle should make you sharper, not flatter. If someone consistently responds to your growth with resistance, comparison, or resentment, the length of history you share with them does not qualify them for access to your deepest dreams and fears. History is not the same as alignment. Person number 5. Someone who has broken your trust before and never repaired it properly. Restoration requires more than time. It requires ownership, changed behavior, and rebuilt track record. Many people stay in broken trust cycles because they confuse forgiveness with restoration. Forgiveness is something you give for your own sake. Restoration of trust is something the other person earns through consistent, changed behavior over time. Luke 6:43 says a good tree doesn't produce bad fruit, and a bad tree doesn't produce good fruit. The fruit tells you what you're dealing with. If someone broke your trust, offered a surface apology, and then the behavior quietly resumed, that is not a repaired relationship. That is a recycled one. And opening your heart fully to a recycled relationship is choosing the same outcome on a different day. Person number 6. Someone whose spiritual direction is consistently pulling them away from God. This is perhaps the most important one, and the one people resist the most because it feels like judgment. But 2 Corinthians 6:14 says, "Do not be unequally yoked." That principle is not limited to marriage. Yoking means being tied together in direction and movement. You cannot move toward God and simultaneously remain deeply intertwined with someone who is consistently moving away from Him without one of you eventually yielding ground. This is not about perfect people. No one in your life is going to be spiritually perfect, but there is a difference between someone who stumbles and gets up and someone who is settled in a direction that has nothing to do with God. The longer you give that person access to your innermost life, the more their direction shapes yours. Closing people out is not what this message is asking you to do. You can love someone, pray for someone, even maintain a relationship with someone without giving them your heart. Access and love are not the same thing. Some people deserve your kindness. Some deserve your prayers. Very few deserve the deepest, most vulnerable parts of who you are. And the deciding factor is never how long you've known them. It's whether they are trustworthy with what's sacred. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guard it wisely, not with bitterness and not with walls that close everyone out, but with discernment that knows the difference between someone who has earned access and someone who has simply been around long enough to feel familiar." Subscribe for more content that tells you the truth about the things that matter most. And share this with someone who might need this reminder today.